The news yesterday of Mykhailo Mudryk, a $100 million transfer to Chelsea in 2022. The guy that was dubbed Ukrainian Neymar, never really panning out at Chelsea. And now he finds himself facing a 4-year doping ban. And that news, it got me thinking, guys, who else joins him as a perhaps questionable transfer, a.k.a. the worst transfers of all time?
I think one close to home that I chose was Xherdan Shaqiri to the Chicago Fire.
Okay.
Beyond like the status, I think it's the apathy with which Xherdan Shaqiri played. His best moment was against Inter Miami when he had to see a Leo Messi in front of him to give us his best performance. I don't think there was a player that cared less about playing for the Chicago Fire than Xherdan Shaqiri. He's now at Basel. He really cares about playing for Basel, so much so that he went back to his boyhood club and won the Swiss League. So to me, this is up there in the MLS worst transfer of all time.
You know what the biggest moment was that killed me? It wasn't how much he didn't show up for Chicago. It was that at one point he left for national team duty. The manager basically said, don't bother sticking around. And then he goes to the Swiss national team and scores an absolute banger of a goal. And that hurts more. Don't do nothing at your club and then go and show up for your country when you're going up against Miami.
That was funny, too, because the manager at the time was trying to, like, downplay. It's like, no, this is normal. And it's like MLS sent other clubs, sent other players to the Euros. And they were all still playing that weekend. And Chicago was like, no, this is totally normal that we told him to go away and not play. Switzerland didn't even request him this early. But no, this is normal. Don't worry about it. That was as they were trying to get the divorce. He was really bad. But, Nico, you say apathy? You say worst MLS transfers? I got you beat immediately here.
Okay.
With Lorenzo Insigne. You want to talk about apathy? Are you kidding me? This guy. So Lorenzo Insigne comes $15 million per year, was the highest paid player in MLS before Lionel Messi got here. He is one of the highest all-time earners in MLS after a couple of years. Since he got here, what he's done is get Bob Bradley fired. He stormed out of training from Bob Bradley to interim Terry Dunfield to John Herdman. He's had some injuries that John Herdman even questioned. There was a game where they played against Inter Miami. We're talking about it again. And he comes in the 80th minute, and Herdman is asked about him after the game because he was in and out of the lineup with injuries. And he goes, yeah, he was struggling. You could tell. I think his fastest sprint was at the final whistle to go get Messi's shirt. He's gotten all these people fired.
Herdman said that?
Yeah, in a press conference.
This like worst signing versus worst transfer? Because he did go on a free.
Well, it's a free transfer.
Okay.
So, but the amount of money that Toronto FC is a franchise club over the last decade, 15 years, that has spent really big. Josie Altidore, Michael Bradley, Sebastian Giovinco, they had a lot of ambition. Lorenzo Insigne came, ownership goes, oh my God, we're not giving you any more money. They have borderline not spent $1 more than the bare minimum since Insigne arrived because of him.
You know what makes it worse?
What?
Napoli born and bred. The moment he leaves Napoli not only wins one, but now two Scudetti for the first time since 1989.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
So anyway,
Cupo, how do you top that?
Hold my beer. I'm going in for possibly it got to be like one of the top 2 transfers that just nightmare in the world. Xherdan from Chelsea, where he was just a Goliath to a very unfit, injured, mostly just rough time. Eden Xherdan. He was supposed to be, I guess, the gap bridger there for Real Madrid, and at the time ended up costing more than Cristiano Ronaldo all in, going there for €100 million up front with $145 million Euro bonus. For the amount of appearances that he actually had over the 4 seasons there, his goals equated to roughly €20 million apiece that he made for them.
Wow.
He was more injured than not. He showed up to Real Madrid overweight. He was plagued by injuries, and then not long after his departure, which was a year early, despite his contract length with them, he retired. So I don't really know how you recoup costs on that, but ended up being possibly the worst signing, the worst transfer of all time.
You think about drop-offs. He was nasty at Chelsea, one of the best players in the world. I think about not only the international tournaments that he played with Chelsea, the Premier League's in and out. I remember that Premier League with Diego Costa. He was so good. Even with the Belgian national team in 2018, you looked at him and you said, this guy is so good that I would put him in a podium for the best in the world. And for him to go from that to Real Madrid, where he wasn't even playing, every time he stepped on the field, he just couldn't get it done. It was shocking. And you talk about drop-offs like Fernando Torres from Liverpool to Chelsea, for example. But he did have a moment in a Champions League, right, that kind of, all right, justified him not being the worst transfer of all time. And then you think of Coutinho from Liverpool to Barcelona, and then ironically scoring against Barcelona and that COVID season, the A2 route. But this, I think,
to put some punctuation on this, he made 76 appearances over 4 seasons. He missed 80 matches. I want to make that kind of money.
Nice.
How do I do that? 20 million?
You're asking the wrong. You're asking the wrong people. Bogert over here is itching at the chance to get to just some names that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, but you brought up Philippe Coutinho. I would say I think that was one of the best transfers of all time because it funded Virgil van Dijk and Alisson. So I don't think we need to put him in that category. But I've got 2 of my favorite ones. First one is Ali Dia. This is a player who played in a Premier League match for Southampton because somebody called Southampton's manager pretending to be George Weah and said, I have a cousin. He's played with me at PSG. He's played with me in the national team. You need to sign him. And then they brought him in on a 1-month contract. He appeared in a Premier League game, and Matt Letizia, a Southampton legend, was talking about he looks like Bambi on ice out there. It was embarrassing. That was the only appearance he made. Then there's another one.
Did he get paid, though?
In a 1-month contract. In a 1-month contract. And then there's a player called Alexander López. He was in Honduras at the beginning of his career as a Honduran player, and 2 British kids said, I'm a little bored. Let's see if we can make this random player get him all the way up. We're going to go to his Wikipedia page. They edited his stats on Wikipedia and gave him a whole lot more goals and assists. It was like 9 and 20 when he had like 1 and 3. And then they put a section on Wikipedia that he was the Honduran Maradona. And he's a rising star, all of this. The Houston Dynamo signed him for $1 million. Wow. And in their official press release, put the Wikipedia stats that were not true. He came to MLS in 2013. This is too late to get fooled by the internet on this one. He had 28 appearances, 0 goals. He is still playing today.
Tom, are you going to tell your children these stories as their bedtime stories?
Absolutely. And they're going to hate me.
Vibe from you, right?
And they're going to hate me.
Got me. The other stuff, I'm like,
Sensational.
I wonder where Ali Dia is now.
Who's on your honorable mention?
I do have one particular story. It's about Emmanuel Adebayor, the Togo legend, former Spurs, former Arsenal, former Manchester City. He got signed on a free by Olimpia in Paraguay, where he met up with former Manchester City teammate Roque Santa Cruz. And this was very recently. This was around COVID time, after COVID-19 in the 2020 season, at the very beginning of the 2020 season. He debuted in the Paraguay League, played 2 games in the Paraguay League, and then played in Copa Libertadores, played 1 game, and then in the second game, which was his 4th appearance, he was sent off for a tackle about yay high on an opponent. Done. He said he was going to go to Togo for vacation. He leaves to go back to Togo, gets COVID, and the club decided to terminate his contract by mutual consent. He played Emmanuel Adebayor played in the Copa Libertadores. Unbelievable. 2 games. He was out. 4 games total for Olimpia and never played again.
I'm getting such a weird, look ahead to you two. Listen to me, little babies, you're rocking them to sleep. Listen to this crazy, terrible transfer from back in the day. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct, Jillian.
I think it's the passion